much loved book, reading it for the second time, and it's titled Atomic Habit by James Clear. And our effort at Women on Wealth is to break old money habits, and adopt new good money habits, and we know that it is not easy to break habits. And that's where I think, rereading this book, at least to me, it's been that even if I were to just keep repeating one page of the book and just follow that what's been written on that one page, I think I'll be able to make a huge difference. That's my experience. And yes, we will delve deeper into the discussion as we look at shifting identities. So, warm welcome. And just for anybody who's new here, anybody who's watching us live on any of the platforms, Online Money Book Club is a platform by Women on Wealth. We are over 2 years old, have read a lot of books, and we read books around personal finance, investing, habit building, and mindset building, and mindset shifting as well. So you are attending the live of one such book discussion. And yes, I welcome everyone. And we've been reading this book since last week, and we will continue reading. So very quickly, I want to reach out to our members here and ask them that what have been their experiences of this first week of reading and implementing the lessons in our lives. So whoever like to share, and then post that, we will dive into some reading followed by discussion. So whoever would like to bring your experience forward.
Sheetal, I would like to go. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, am I audible?
Am I audible? Okay. Yes, you are audible. We can hear you.
So first thing is thank you very much for picking up this book. Thank you very much for picking up this book. The first thing I would say I have implemented is till date, I've been involved in so many other wow discussions, but book club discussion, this is the first time I'm getting in, right? So that is the big shift. I started reading the book, I started catching it up, and so when you start thinking, one of my challenge was time was not matching because office meetings used to be there, and when you strongly start thinking about something, it will manifest. That got proved because I didn't even ask Sheetal, but she changed to 6, which helped me to accommodate. That is what I would say. There are others who can't really join in because of the change, but I could join in, and I have started. So I'm just loving that book and a lot of learnings from that. Lot of I would say a lot of habits I've picked up, but I didn't know scientifically this was the reason why it started working for me. I didn't know it just started working. Some of the habits just started working for me. But now when I read the book, I could really connect, and now I'm a lot more confident on building up my good habits. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Raji. Who else would like to share their first few days of experience reading this book? Anyone? So
I have started reading just a bit where he talks about the motivation and the story behind why he started this entire journey, right? And what I was amazed about is how he started it when he was so young. Like he was just a student, and that's amazing, right? To have that insight that I can do, like take micro actions and then build on something. So that was just amazing. And also he quoted Naval Ravikant, where he said you got to live the book to write the book. So I think through this book, what I'm really looking forward to understanding more of is that those exact eureka moments, maybe when he was very young, where he just got this flash which said, hey, I think I need to build these habits. Like I really don't know how somebody could have that wisdom. So I'm really looking forward to understanding more of that. Thanks, Sheetal.
Thank you. And last week's discussion around identity and all of that has really remained with me. Although, it's a discussion I've been a part of few times because we picked up the book also in Money Gym. We have tried to implement some of the learnings from this book. And, one question I think Rich also highlighted, and he mentions in the book how one of his friends lost a lot of weight, and just by asking what would a healthy person do, and so I am trying to find, I think, a couple of such questions which will give me direction, whether it's in the area of health, money, or picking up something else. And I was on a flight this time, and I am the kind of person who wouldn't mind just being all by myself, and there I was and with my co-passenger. and I read a bit of this book also on the flight. Then I was just thinking about, okay, what would I am happy just not talking to anyone as well, right? But also I felt that, what if I were to talk to that person? So whether it's a friendly person or whatever you may call it, right? So then I asked this question to myself, and then I was actually snacking at that time. I had got myself a cup of chai. The person next to me also had got a cup of coffee, and I had the snacks. And I was like, I am happy not offering as well, right? But then I asked myself that question. Then the next action was, of course, to just offer it to that person, and then we got chatting a little bit. Uh, and the thing is that I identify with myself as someone who does not do it, and I'm very okay not doing it, right? It's my identity that I am not that kind of a person. And somewhere again in those pages I had read all of these, so I wanted to sort of implement and see how it feels, and not that I was doing it for the first time, but I still don't identify myself as a person who would go out and start talking to strangers. And not I'm not that kind of a person, but I wanted to try it out and see if I were to regularly do it, where would life take me. So this book, the conversations really helped me, and it made me take that step. Otherwise I would still not have. And that, I think, because of the conversation, then when we were about to land, then it's a new place I was coming to, so I could very comfortably shift to the next empty seat and say, hey, I want to peek outside and see how it's like, because I had already broken that barrier. So new experience. So that's what it led me to. So, and my learning just is that I think with this book I would keep just working it. There is so much in each page, but maybe one thing I would want to take away is really this identity shift, and only maybe I'll work with this question. Can I just work with this question and see where it takes me? So many thoughts. I also thought that with so many books I read, maybe this is one book I'll keep reading the entire year, finish it, go back, along with all the other books I'm reading. So yeah, it's been amazing so far. Yes.
Sheetal, I would like to add on to what you spoke about the identity. Till now, always my focus has been more on goals, right? And always those questions will come, once you achieve, what will you do next? That used to come, but I never used to have an answer for that. But when I read this book, I realized goals is not what you need to be focusing on, the identity part. So, as you told, everything what I'm trying to do right now, I'm trying to see I want to be like this. That is the reason I'm doing these things, kind of thing. So I'm just trying to shift to that mode. So I'm looking forward for completing. I'm glad we have picked it up on December. So the way we are, I'm going to set my goals, or I won't even say goals. The way I'm going to define my identity in 2022 is going to be a lot more different than what I used to always feel. Otherwise, always with so much goals, there will be definitely few things you achieve, few things you don't achieve, and it's always that category amongst 199 you do and one you don't do, you always pick yourself on one thing you didn't do and say, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, instead of celebrating the 99 things what we did. So but reading this book is helping me to align my thought process so that my focus is on really the process aspect of it and identity rather than just the goals.
Beautiful. Thank
Actually, I
you.
like this idea. What's my 2022 identity? Instead of doing the goals, that's a better way of focusing on self. I think I'll also try and attempt creating an identity.
Yeah. Don't try, just do it. Just keep this book by your side, and then just keep reading it throughout. I think really I'm heavily leaning towards it, that no matter what book I read, and keep doing this.
Yep.
Yes. And so lovely to
Yeah,
see
and
you in
just
this.
to add to that, I had a belief that if I read a book on a computer or a digital aspect of it, right, not the hard copy, then probably I don't enjoy. I don't till now. It has always been the case. Any book I pick up on iPad or a computer, halfway through I leave it. I never complete it. But this book, every chapter I'm enjoying, so I'm going to break that myth of myself saying that I won't read a digital book, right? I'm going to break that myth and say I will do it, and whatever learnings I'm picking up from that, I'm going to implement also. So that way, going forward, it will become a lot more easier for me to read books. It doesn't matter what is the medium, reading and capturing the learning is what matters.
All right. So we are all ready to break more barriers now, is how I see. Awesome. And I would love to welcome Shalini, Abha, Nilakshi, Yadu, Anita, Rakhi, Annie, and rest of us who've been coming here. So thank you so much. So shall we jump into some reading? First law. Okay, I would invite one of you to begin reading. I will share it on the screen. Who would like to volunteer to read for everybody else while I pull up the book? This is the first law, make it obvious. I know I can safely invite Garima to read it. Can I, Garima? Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
This view all right for you?
Yes, it is. Thanks, Sheetal.
Okay.
The man who didn't look right. The psychologist Gary Klein once told me a story about a woman who attended a family gathering. She had spent years working as a paramedic and upon arriving at the event, took one look at her father in law and got very concerned. I don't like the way you look, she said. Her father in law, who was feeling perfectly fine, jokingly replied, well, I don't like your looks either. She insisted, you need to go to the hospital now. After a few hours, the man was undergoing life saving surgery after an examination had revealed that he had a blockage to a major artery and was at immediate risk of a heart attack. Without his daughter in law's intuition, he could have died. What did the paramedic see? How did she predict his impending heart attack? When major arteries are obstructed, the body focuses on sending blood to critical organs and away from peripheral locations near the surface of the skin. The result is a change in the pattern of distribution of blood on the face. After many years of working with people with heart failure, the woman had unknowingly developed the ability to recognize this pattern on sight. She couldn't explain what it was that she noticed in her father in law's face, but she knew something was wrong. Similar stories exist in other fields. For example, military analysts can identify which blip on a radar screen is an enemy missile and which one is a plane from their own fleet, even though they are traveling at the same speed, flying at the same altitude, and look identical on the radar in nearly every respect. During the Gulf War, Lieutenant Commander Michael Riley saved an entire battleship when he ordered a missile shot down. Despite the fact that it looked exactly like the battleship's own planes on the radar, he made the right call, but even his superior officers couldn't explain how he did it. Museum curators have been known to discern the difference between an authentic piece of art and an expertly produced counterfeit, even though they can't tell you precisely which details tipped them off. Experienced radiologists can look at a brain scan and predict the area where a stroke will develop before any obvious signs are visible to the untrained eye. I have even heard of hairdressers noticing whether a client is pregnant based only on the feel of her hair. The human brain is a prediction machine. It is continuously taking in your surroundings and analyzing the information it comes across. Whenever you experience something repeatedly, like a paramedic seeing the face of a heart attack patient or a military analyst seeing a missile on a radar screen, your brain begins to notice what is important, sorting through the details, and highlighting the relevant cues and cataloging that information for future use. With enough practice, you can pick up the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. Automatically, your brain encodes the lessons learned through experiences. We can't always explain what it is we are learning, but learning is happening all along the way. And your ability to notice the relevant cues in a given situation is the foundation for every habit you have. We understand how much our brains and bodies can do without thinking. You do not tell your hair to grow, or your heart to pump, your lungs to breathe, or your stomach to digest. And yet your body handles all this and more on autopilot. You are much more than your conscious self. Consider hunger. How do you know when you're hungry? You don't necessarily have to see a cookie on the counter to realize that it is time to eat. Appetite and hunger are governed non consciously. Your body has a variety of feedback loops that gradually alert you when it is time to eat again. And that track what is going on around you and within you. Cravings can arise thanks to hormones and chemicals circulating through your body. Suddenly you are hungry even though you're not quite sure what tipped you off. This is one of the most surprising insights about our habits. You don't need to be aware of a cue for a habit to begin. You can notice an opportunity and take action without dedicating conscious attention to it. This is what makes habits useful. It's also what makes them dangerous. As habits form, your actions come under the direct direction of your automatic and non conscious brain. You fall into old patterns before you realize what's happening. Unless someone points it out, you may not notice that you cover your mouth with your hand whenever you laugh, that you apologize before asking a question, or that you have a habit of finishing other people's sentences. And the more you repeat these patterns, the less likely you become to question what you're doing and why you're doing it. I once heard of a retail clerk who was instructed to cut an empty gift card after customers had used up the balance on the card. One day, the clerk cashed out a few customers in a row who purchased with gift cards. When the next person walked up, the clerk swiped the customer's actual credit card, picked up the scissors, and then cut it in half, entirely on autopilot, before looking up at the stunned customer and realizing what had he just done. Another woman I came across in my research was a former preschool teacher who had switched jobs to a corporate job. Even though she was now working with adults, her old habits would kick in, and she kept asking co-workers if they had washed their hands after going to the bathroom. I also found the story of a man who had spent years working as a lifeguard and would occasionally yell, "Walk," whenever he saw a child running. Over time, the cues that spark our habits become so common that they are essentially invisible. The treats on the kitchen counter, the remote control next to the couch, the phone in our pocket. Our response to these cues are so deeply encoded that it may feel like the urge to act comes from nowhere. For this reason, we must begin the process of behavior change with awareness. Before we can effectively build new habits, we need to get a handle on our current ones. This can be more challenging than it sounds because once a habit is firmly rooted in your life, it is mostly it is mostly non-conscious and automatic. If a habit remains mindless, you can't expect to improve it. As the psychologist Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The Habit Scorecard. The Japanese railway system is regarded as one of the best in the world. If you ever find yourself riding a train in Tokyo, you will notice that the conductors have a peculiar habit. As each operator runs the train, they proceed through a ritual of pointing at different objects and calling out commands. When the train approaches a signal, the operator will point at it and say, "Signal is green." As the train pulls into and out of each station, the operator will point at the speedometer and call out the exact speed. When it's time to leave, the operator will point at the timetable and state the time. Out on the platform, other employees are performing similar actions. Before each train departs, staff members will point along the edge of the platform and declare all clear. Every detail is identified, pointed at, and named aloud. This process, known as pointing and calling, is a safety system designed to reduce mistakes. It seems silly, but it works incredibly well. Pointing and calling reduces errors up to 85% and cuts accidents by 30%. The MTA subway system in New York City adopted a modified version that is point only, and within 2 years of implementation, incidents of incorrectly berthed subways fell 57%. Pointing and calling is so effective because it raises the level of awareness from a non conscious habit to a more conscious level. Because a train operator must use their eyes, hands, mouth, and ears, they are more likely to notice problems before something goes wrong. My wife does something similar. Whenever we are preparing to walk out the door for a trip, she verbally calls out the most essential items in her packaging list. I've got my keys, I've got my wallet, I've got my glasses, I've got my husband. The more automatic a behavior becomes, the less likely we are to consciously think about it. And then we have done something 1,000 times before. We begin to overlook things. We assume that the next time will be just like the last. We are so used to doing what we have always done that we don't stop to question whether it's the right thing to do at all. Many of our failures in performance are largely attributed to lack of self-awareness. One of our greatest challenges changing habits is maintaining awareness of what we are actually doing. This helps explain why the consequences of bad habits can sneak upon us. We need a point and call system for our personal lives. That's the origin of the Habits Scorecard, which is a simple exercise you can use to become more aware about your behavior. Create your own, make a list of your daily habits. Here is a sample of where your list might start. Wake up, turn off the alarm, check my phone, go to the bathroom, weigh myself, take a shower, brush my teeth, floss my teeth, put on a deodorant, hang up towel dry, get dressed, make a cup of tea, and so on. Once you have a full list, look at each behavior and ask yourself, is this a good habit, a bad habit, or a neutral habit? If it is a good habit, write plus next to it. If it is a bad habit, write minus. And if it is a neutral habit, just write equal to. For example, the list above may look like something like this. There is a check my phone, which is negative. Everything else is either positive or neutral. The marks you give to a particular habit will depend on your situation and your goals. For someone who's trying to lose weight, eating a bagel with a peanut butter every morning might be a bad habit. For someone who's trying to bulk up and add muscle, the same behavior might be a good habit. It all depends on what you are working towards. Scoring your habits can be a bit more complex for another reason as well. The labels good habits and bad habit are slightly inaccurate. There are no good habits or bad habits. There are only effective habits. That is effective at solving problem. All habits serve you in some way, even the bad ones, which is why you repeat them. For this exercise, categorize your habits by how they will benefit you in a long run. Generally speaking, good habits will have net positive outcome, bad habits will have net negative outcome. Smoking a cigarette may reduce stress right now, but that's how it's serving you. But it's not a healthy long term behavior. If you're still having trouble determining how to rate a particular habit, here is a question I like to use. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does this behavior cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Habits that reinforce your desired identity are usually good. Habits that conflict with your desired identity are usually bad. As you create your habits scorecard, there's no need to change anything at first. The goal is simply notice what is actually going on. Observe your thoughts and actions without judgment or internal criticism. Don't blame yourself for your faults. Don't praise yourself for your successes. If you eat a chocolate bar every morning, acknowledge it, almost as if you were watching someone else. Oh, how interesting that they would do such a thing. If you binge eat, simply notice that you are eating more calories than you should. If you waste time online, notice that you're spending your life in a way that you do not want to. First step to changing bad habit is to be on the lookout for them. If you feel like you need extra help, then you can try pointing and calling in your own life. Say out loud the action that you are thinking of taking and what the outcome will be. If you want to cut back on your junk food habit, but notice yourself grabbing another cookie, say out loud, I'm about to eat this cookie, but I don't need it. Eating it will cause me to gain weight and hurt my health. Hearing your bad habits spoken aloud makes the consequences seem more real. It adds weight to the action rather than letting yourself mindlessly slip into an old routine. This approach is useful even if you are simply trying to remember a task on your to do list. Just saying out loud, tomorrow I need to go to the post office after lunch, increases the odds that you will actually do it. You are getting yourself into you are getting yourself to acknowledge the need for action, and that can make all the difference. The process of behavior change always starts with awareness. Strategies like pointing and calling and the habits scorecard are focused on getting you to recognize your habits and acknowledge the cues that trigger them, which makes it possible to respond in a way that benefits you. Summary: with enough practice, your brain will pick up on the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. Once our habits become automatic, we stop paying attention to what we are doing. The process of behavior change always starts with awareness. You need to be aware of your habits before you can change them. Pointing and calling raises your level of awareness from a non conscious habit to a more conscious level by verbalizing your actions. The habits scorecard is a simple exercise you can use to become more aware about your behavior.
Let's pause here. Okay. So what are some thoughts? I think I have found another question I can keep asking myself.
I think, Sheetal, so there is, so when, he says that, you have to say it out loud and, we become so unconscious doing it because we are doing it over and over again that we tend to not notice, the bad consequences of it, that it's a bad habit. Uh, and then, that's something I think we do differently as well in our work, at least in my scope of work, where you question the status quo. So basically that's what he's asking you to do. You need to go question your own self, which is where, pointing and calling, these are very basic lean methodology terms that, the Silicon Valley also uses. So I think that's where he's taking the cue from, that, don't do something with an assumption that this is how it will turn out to be. Don't assume and move forward, basically. So sit, think what will be the outcome before you actually do it. So I kind of relate to what he's saying because that's what we do day in and day out. Uh, but never implemented it in, my own self, for changing my habit. I mean, I consciously will, unconsciously rather, will probably just have a cup of tea, even when I don't want it. So, and later I'm going to regret it, that sham ko chai nahi peeni chahiye thi because now I won't be able to sleep. That regret comes later, but at that point in time. So I think it's going to work, I feel.
I am just thinking of, because I picked up health as an area, that's something I need to. So I keep
You have a long process. I know. It's a long process, right? You go to the gym, then you come back, then you
yeah.
have to shower, you have to, whatever, you have to clean, you have to clean your house, you have to have a gym bag, you have to clean your gym clothes, you have to maintain the shoes, you have to maintain the diet for it. It looks very prolonged process,
Yeah.
right? But
And
if
I,
you don't do
I
it,
but
what's
I
the risk?
think the pain area for me is the hair wash. And if I become sweaty, then I need to get a hair wash, and then I need to manage my hair, which I don't want to do. So that's the thing. But there are alternatives, of course, and I don't need to be uh, doing the kind of intense workout, right? So, but
Or
thanks
you
to
can
the
use dry shampoo. Nowadays, you can use dry shampoo and just get over with it. I think what he's trying to say is evaluate the risk versus
yeah.
the effort.
Mm. So
So what
from this
effort
chapter,
impact
I am
basically.
from this chapter, I'm definitely again, as I'm reading this, I am picking up some things which I will also remember, because there's a lot. Even if I make
Mhm.
a list of all the wonderful points, there's still a lot for me to remember. So this time around, I am ensuring that I come up with these one or two lines that I just keep repeating, like from the identity shift.
Hmm.
I have taken away that one question that I would want to keep asking myself, and then it'll just help me align. And then from this particular chapter, there was another question that he has given us, right? Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? So I'm taking away this question. So every time I just need to ask this question: does this, whatever I am doing, whatever I'm thinking of doing, does this behavior help me become the person I want to be? So I am taking back that question for myself, and just keep asking myself that question.
So what's the answer? Does it help you answer the question on the
So
health part?
it will be on the go, right? It could be, for example, the second helping of rice that I just had at the wedding dinner, you know and then every time I would start with a small portion, and then I would
Yeah.
go back. So does this behavior help me become the person I want to be, where I see myself figure wise, perhaps a certain way, at least, that's on my mind? And my answer is no. So then the push to myself, if the answer is no, will you go and do it? No, you will not eat that extra rice. So it's just going to be this quick conversation I will keep
Yes.
having with myself, whether it's
Like
regard.
pointing and calling. What you're doing is you're pointing and calling. Do I
um,
need the second plate of rice? No.
I think pointing and calling is slightly different from asking this question. I think this question uh, has a different role to play. Pointing and calling to me would be more like, okay, tomorrow morning, after I have my tea, I will go for a walk, for example. Like told my friend, but I didn't do it today. So tomorrow I have seen this amazing, because I'm in a really hilly area, and stairs are a great thing for me. So I have seen this long, and I keep looking for the long flight of stairs. You just do up and down couple of times. So I just spotted one today, just near their house. So I am pointing and calling that I've seen the long flight of stairs and I will do my up and down tomorrow morning.
All the best.
This is my pointing and calling. I don't know if this is how it works, but I'm gonna try it. So inviting others to share, what are you taking back from what we just read for your many different habits you wanna inculcate?
I think one of the things that sort of really resonated with me, where he says, self-awareness is very important. And it's something that really needs to be developed very, very intentionally, especially in this age where there's so much external stimuli, right, coming in constantly, like phone calls and all of those kinds of things. So, like in the last couple of weeks, I realized that I mean, I have these two habits where one is that when something triggers me emotionally, I start watching a lot of these shows online. And it's a kind of like a form of escape, It's not because I really want to watch the show. And another thing is I start switching between many, mobile device interfaces, right? So earlier I would keep doing this, but not be aware that it's an outcome of something else. But I think now over time I've realized that there is an awareness that these are, in my mind, bad habits, right? So I was able to kind of bounce back much faster, because on the journey to creating these effective habits, you also have to be aware of when you're getting into those ineffective habits, right? So I think that has really kind of helped me. And the other thing he says is, there are no good and bad habits. And I remember a friend telling me that when she's emotionally very stressed out, she just orders food and she starts eating it. And her thing is that, hey, I could be doing something worse, right? I could be, like, smoking up consistently, or drinking a lot of alcohol. So maybe, like, that's what he means by saying that it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just about how effective it will be for you in the long term. So those are some interesting thoughts from this chapter, which I'm sort of taking away.
Thank you, Meryl. I'm now inviting others. If you can, then please jump in and share your insights. What are some thoughts you have?
Hi, Anita here. So so about the list of habits, while you were reading, I just made a list of my habits from the time I wake up. I was like, okay, let me just see. So as Garima said, like, the cup of tea, that's a habit that I'm trying to get rid of, because it's not really healthy to for me especially. So I have, I thought of making this the loud declaration. I thought maybe I should do that. So I'm about to drink tea. It's not healthy for my body for so and so whatever reasons that I have. So probably I'll do that. Maybe I'll see how it works out for me. Yeah, that's something I'm taking from this first law. And the point that you mentioned, does this behavior help me become the person I want to be? Yeah. That's all from my side. I think these two things.
All the best with your tea.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward. Every day I try. Some days I am successful in not having my tea, but then, I decide in the morning, okay, today one tea, I'm done. I'm not going to have in the afternoon, but then I end up having it. It's just I think it is a trigger. Okay, 4 o'clock. Now I should have my tea.
Got that. So now you have more tools like the questions, or it could be even the community where you could be sharing out loud, in the Telegram book, the book club that we have, because that's what we are trying to, use it as a support. So you might just point and call out there, Yeah. I'm inviting Nilakshi. You wanted to share something to Nilakshi. Please go ahead.
So I have actually tried out some of these methods like last year. So regarding the tea one, so what I found was when I suddenly cut it off, you usually get a headache because a tea is a stimulant. and that is not a good method to actually reduce it. So the effective method which I found for reducing it was you cut off the evening tea instead of the morning tea, so that it's much more easier, and also maybe reduce the quantity of it instead of the completely cutting off, and gradually like reduce it slowly. Also, I found that if you replace it with something else, for example, I use a warm water with honey. So that is my, basically I figured out that I want something warm. So that is the habit actually. So that is how I easily replace the tea. So I have cut off tea from last December, and it was pretty easy because then I used some techniques to just gradually reduce it slowly, and just stopped tea and coffee completely. So that is something that I use. And some of the habits I want to work on is like basically I'm basically late for most of the things. So that is one habit that I do want to get rid of this year at least.
I think Nalakshi, he refers to this as, identifying the cues, what triggers you to do it. And
Yeah.
if you fixed your cues, so if something triggers you to have tea, you've tried to maybe fix it through, warm water or something else.
Yes.
So we just need to all find why. Uh, Anita said that, it's 4 o'clock, so chai peeni hai, right? That's a cue. So we might
Yeah.
as well acknowledge that, okay, it's 4 o'clock, I'm going to have a glass of warm water, instead of tea, something like that.
Thank you for sharing that. And just the takeaway that I have, further, he does say in the book that when I ask that question, does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? It connects back to the identity I'm working on, which is a more permanent shift in the habit that we are bringing about. So does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? So if I'm clear on what identity shift I am bringing, then I think this is another very straightforward question that helps me connect with the identity. So this is what I think I will really be asking. Does this habit cast a vote for my desired identity? Okay. Anyone else, anything more you'd like to share? And we have read one full chapter. Richa is saying, Richa, you can unmute and share.
It's not exactly related to the book, but I could relate with Nilakshi and
You can share the chocolate with us also, that's fine. We
perfect.
can help you get rid of it.
Yeah, so I told myself I want to completely cut off chocolates or too sweet stuff. And then I realized I had this beautiful lint box in my fridge, and I said, oh no. So I've decided to set days. I'm gonna put a phone, alarm. इस दिन खा सकते हो, उसके अलावा नहीं खा सकते.
Only on weekends.
Yes.
One of the weekends.
I think a Sunday. Acne weekday में आए तो ठीक है.
And have you guys identified some of the areas where you want to bring the shift? I know I picked health. Anybody, any other area? Reading is another one for me.
Reading. I was about to say that.
I am a reader is the identity I will cultivate. I am a reader. Say that 10 times. I am a reader.
I am a reader. Yes.
Actually, for me, I enhanced it. I am a reader and I apply what I read and gain from reading. That is what I did, because I just don't want to read and become a knowledge junkie. Unless I apply, it's again no use for me. So that is what I started telling myself starting of this month. Actually, I've even enrolled into a reading challenge outside this one. So there is a speed reading club, and I have enrolled to that where we discuss about it. So as part of that, so I'm and that's the reason I got into book club. Since I decided that I want to become an ardent reader who also applies, I'm ensuring I'm surrounding with people who are into reading habits, so that even if I'm ready to give up, there is a push coming from other directions, so that I continue reading and embrace whatever I learn.
So the other identity is I am an implementer.
What is it? You're
I am an implementer, so if I'm reading, then
oh,
I am implementing. So the identity is I am an implementer, something that Raji also wants
yes.
is picked up to work on.
One
What are
aspect of
identities
my
are
identity is that, sorry,
Yes, go ahead, Beryl.
is that I like to make music. But I used to regularly dabble and practice music every day when I used to be in Delhi. But I shifted to Goa about 3-4 months back. And since then, I've not been able to do that much, for some reason. I think maybe in Delhi, I had created a nice space for myself where I felt like, hey, I'm connecting with myself properly. So I just don't do it anymore. And that's something I'm trying to do, make sure I prioritize music for about at least 10 minutes to 30 minutes a day. So that's something, like, as you said, it's a part of my identity. But if you don't do something that's part of your identity, then your identity is like a faux identity, maybe. I don't know. So that's something on the cards for me.
So which brings me to this point that, of course, there is this middle ground we will all go through, right? From the person I am not to person I'm becoming. And so that's where this is happening, right? Like, do I identify? So although the identity Meryl has is I am a musician, so what does a musician do? She plays music, practices every day, Yeah. So now the question would be that whenever you skip and you are
You
aware
have
of,
to, yeah. You have to do the work. Like, if you don't do the work, then it's very easy to let go of something fantastic, right? So sometimes maybe the gap is that there is something that needs to be created, a mood, or I don't know, something like that. So maybe that's something I'm contemplating. Like, what is that element that will help me?
I just want to say I really resonate with that. I mean, I'm a visual artist and a dancer, and I teach art, but when I don't do it myself on a regular basis, that identity that he talks about doesn't form. So you almost, feel like you're losing that identity as an artist. So that riyaz in the traditional format they used to call it, the importance of that is, it's like a habit, right? So yeah, great point.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I completely believe.
the riyaz.
Meryl, wait. We'll be happy to hear some music. So if at all that's going to promote you, once in a while, maybe commit yourself. You record something, send it, and you will get a lot of fans in the group who will
Sure,
probably
I'll do
encourage
that
you
for
to do
sure.
more.
Maybe some motivation is needed,
Yes,
So
I
I'll
think
do that.
probably
Thanks so
you
much.
should start recording something and sending so that we'll all listen and motivate you to do further.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for that. I
Remember,
would
the
love
wow
that.
jingle is due.
Huh?
The wow jingle is due.
Yes, I know, man. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get to that. It's brewing in my brain already.
Yeah, I think, just at least for the book club. So every Friday when we meet, first 5 minutes, that music has to be run. Only after that we start the discussion.
Maybe we make a musical. Some lyrics will come from the pages of the books.
Book. Yeah, maybe the laws will become the music. The laws defined in the habit. And by the way, Sheetal, that's a good idea. That will ensure that we remember all the points what we want to remember. It will
Yeah, I mean, we remember
unconsciously
the
it will settle
songs.
into us.
Right. We anyway just love good, those the ad jingles, they are so peppy. So Meryl, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Meryl must be thinking, what did she
Meryl
say?
will make one with the wealth creation formula.
Yeah, maybe this is like a more fun way to get into a habit, right? Rather than thinking of it as a big task, like something which just
Yep.
sparks it, right?
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
why they
guys, so
teach
much.
children rhymes, right? So they'll teach children rhymes on from how to brush teeth to do everything. So it should work for us also then.
Okay. So for the coming week, we shall continue with anybody up for making the habit scorecard. Garima wants to make it. Okay, Richa. Okay. Let's go back and look at how it is done again. Do we have to like write down everything we do throughout the day, or can it be like maybe based on each identity we are working on? Or do we have to write down everything?
So I feel you have to write on everything because it says make a list of your daily habits. Because if you remember, Sheetal, that's when last time when we were in one of the community meets, that's how we planned, right? That when I sit with my cup of coffee, I will read. So when you will define your day, that's when you will decide, okay, what do I have to, add in where or remove where. So
So
it
the
says make.
purpose of the so I'm just going back to that page.
Hmm.
The purpose of the habit scorecard is to build awareness,
Yes,
because if we lack awareness, then we are not able to do anything about it. Okay.
yes.
So um, one of our greatest challenges in changing habits is maintaining awareness of what we are actually doing. This helps explain why the consequences of bad habits can sneak up on us. We need a point and call system for our personal lives. And that's the origin of the habit scorecard. So a habit scorecard will help us with the point and calling. Is my interpretation correct?
So, for example, he'll probably say that, in his example, if he has said, check my phone is a negative thing. So he wants to get rid of it because when you wake up, you don't want to check your phone, first of all. You want to get up, probably be mindful, do your, make cup of tea, take a shower, go to the gym. I don't know, maybe that's what
Hmm. Hmm.
it means. Like unnecessary snacking, like snacking at 11 o'clock, that could be somebody's negative habit that you don't really need, but out of boredom somebody's doing it.
I think when we do it, then we'll get more clarity,
Hmm. See, in the end also he's
Probably
saying that
we
it is
can
not
use.
about good and bad, it is about habit being effective. Is that habit effective to bring you closer to the identity? Is it going to make you a good athlete? If yes, then it's a good habit, but if effective habit. But if not, then that's an ineffective habit.
Also, I just was going through it again. So there are 2 points. One is the habit scorecard. It is an exercise which we can use to become more aware of our behavior. And another point is habits that conflict with your desired identity are usually bad. So maybe making a scorecard will help us identify what are the habits that we want to continue to work or continue with, and what is it that I want to work on to uh, achieve the desired identity that I want to.
Actually, the other thing I even thought is once we start listing out things, sometimes, probably we are not aware of an identity, what we are categorizing some of these habits or tasks probably will help us even, you know, open up onto our identity. Okay, oh, probably this is what I am. That's the reason I'm doing so many of these things, kind of thing, right? So it may give us clarity in that direction also. So maybe initially it is like a list, you keep adding. Once we review it and refine it, that is when probably we'll decide on what I would like to continue, what I want to get over it, kind of thing. So whatever I score out, probably then I know, okay, if we have time as a problem, okay, I don't have time, that's why I don't do these things. The minute I score out, okay, I've scored out so many things, so probably this can be replaced by something else which is going to help me identify what I'm going to be. So that way also it's going to be helpful is what I thought. So yeah, the activity of just listing out everything as an habit scorecard is probably going to help us in multiple ways.
I also have a feeling that, it might just expose some things, where I thought my identity was something else. But here I am not doing anything on a regular basis, so that will be fun to see, what have I been telling myself I am and I am not.
Not. Hmm.
Exactly, exactly,
It's
that's
a
what I
wake up,
meant.
it's a wake up call. Either ways that maybe
Yeah.
I want to be healthy and fit, but I'm not doing anything about it. I'm telling myself that I'm doing everything. Maybe I'm not actually.
Like a
So
lot of people still identify me as a runner, but I am not running. I've not been running, so I'm not a runner anymore. I used to be when I was, but that's not my identity now. It's shifted. I'm a sitter now. I'm a sitter. I sit.
you have a multiple identity disorder. You are a runner.
I'm
So
having an
she
identity crisis now.
But I had one suggestion for you, Sheetal. One way to make your habit building more exciting, especially with fitness, right, is to make the whole process enjoyable. Right from the time you work out to the time you take your shower to like everything. Like, you should like change the experience. So for instance, when you're having a shower, bring in a little bit of the spa effect and maybe listen to a podcast while you're doing it. I do that, so I really enjoy it, like right from like waking up in the morning to like finishing it up. Just some food for thought.
Like I tried that last
When
year.
you go
So
into a very different mindset, it stops being such a chore.
you're right. Yeah. Otherwise, it feels very boring and drag. So you just jazz it up, like she said. So don't call it hair washing. Call it that you're giving you're even cleaning your hair to give them health, right? So it's relaxing. Come on, Sheetal. I know it's winter, but that's fine.
Actually, just to add on to what Garima just mentioned, so one of the thing I've been doing is when I have the shower, okay, I visualize whatever is all there in my brain, all the negative things, unhealthy things, which is not as part of shower, I'm just draining it all away. I just visualize that all the things is draining away. So it's not just the shower experience, it is also a let go experience, which is happening. First 2 3 days, you won't feel a difference, but when you start doing it every day, you will start feeling, after you come out of your shower, not only the shower has rejuvenated you, the let go of draining whatever you did or visualize, that's going to add on to feel just rejuvenated. So probably you can try that, Sheetal. So much, everybody is giving a lot of suggestions now. So
Thank
you
you.
should try.
I think I'm going to come out a successful person this time.
Okay, and one more thing, Sheetal, I wanted to share. Okay, the gym part of it and all. See, even I used to be a gym person about 3 4 years back. All the fancy clothes, shoes. I shared this in the money gym the other day also, right? I used to be that kind of a person, and there were many days I used to miss gym because yeah, going and coming back, even though I work out for 1 hour, additional 1 hour used to be to get ready, go, come back, clean up, all those things, right? So, and most of the gyms in Bangalore were not opening before 5:30 and all. Even though if I get up early also, I was not able to do it. So from 6:30 onwards, I need to be home in the kitchen to do stuff. So that used to be an excuse why I can't go to gym, right? So now, last 3 4 years, I get up early, 4:30. I do my yoga at home before 6 6:30. All my workout is all done. I don't go out, so there is no Sunday breakup or anything I require, I don't even ask myself that, okay, today Sunday I should not be working out. I don't tell that. I have decided that to be healthy and fit, the way today I posted in the group, right? How you charge phone every day, that's the way you need to charge yourself every day. So no questions asked, no excuses for that, whether Saturday or Sunday, because just because it's Sunday, we don't put on for phone charging, that's not going to happen, right? So we are ensuring, actually we're going to use more of phone on Sunday, so probably we'll end up charging more on Sunday also, right? So
That was
those are
quite
the things. So instead
powerful.
of
Yeah,
thinking,
when we don't let that happen to the phone, that was quite
exactly.
powerful.
Exactly. So, and to, to even to tell that, how I've changed, instead of that fancy gym, all those things, yoga, many days, since I'm doing at my home, there's privacy for whatever I do. So I don't even change to a gym clothes. Sometimes I'm in a night dress, a nightie, I just tie it up like a dhoti and do my yoga workout. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. So at the end of it, you should finish your workout and feel rejuvenated. Everything else is just to pep you up. That should not become an excuse for not doing the workout. That's what I would say.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And on
True.
this note, we shall complete. So the chapters for the next week, again, we have some work to do and building in more awareness. So again, I propose that we have many members who will catch up. So can we continue to work on this chapter, chapter 4 and chapter 5? Is that okay, or would you like to add another chapter? So I was thinking just go till chapter 5, but do more of the work, however little improvement we can bring, but implement and see and bring the insights, the experiences. Okay. So
Yes, Sheetal.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I
that's
think working on the scorecard and sharing that experience also probably is going to be a useful one.
This book will be slightly slow, so let's take time with it rather than.
yeah, there's no rush. We want to, I think we are implementers.
Yes, we are implementers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
We are
beautiful. Thank you
implementing and
all.
learning.
Thank you all for joining in
And
and sharing. Looking forward to the next meet next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Next Friday, 6 p.m. Sorry. See you all. Keep doing the things and let's keep sharing. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And
I should
Meryl, don't forget the music.
let's stay
The
walking.
jingle.
I will keep
The
asking in the
jingle.
group.
Yes. Thanks, folks. Will do.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Good
All
Bye.
the
night.
Have
best,
a good
guys.
weekend.
All the best. Take care. Bye bye.